Good morning, Rabbi Sai. nishmas Mordechai Yom Tishum Shleishim Yom Sheheim Chamisha Shavuos V'Arba'a Yomim Ba'imer. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? From?
West Ham.
What's that? You?
Ari
Also from Shalayim. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? South Africa. Yeah. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Zol from Pesach. Solid from Pesach. Ira Kodesh Pesach. And Rabbi Sharabi is here. Join MDY plate. It's a real plate? It's a real plate. Shalom Aleichem. What? Yeah. So did anybody come over to you yet and say, I want to join MDY? What is join MDY? There's a lot of people, New Yorkers, that are not so Jewish that joined lately. Huh? Really? Join MDY. Unbelievable. Rabbi said, check this out. I thought this is a beautiful advertisement for the Siyum in Toronto. It will be an explosive event. The Sotah. An explosive event. The fire poppers, all sorts of stuff. Rabbi said the Olam is invited to join the London Siyum as well. I showed last week. I showed the Manchester one and the Chicago one. Ma'aseh Shahaya. This week I was in Yerushalayim, and I was in a place over there, and a 2.5-year-old kid, without payas, still the long hair, he says, "Look, the man from the magazine, Ma'aseh Shahaya." I'm like, "Excuse me?" And his parents are like, "Yeah, oh yeah, you recognize from the magazine, the man from the magazine." Here it is. This is Shalom Rand's children. This is not the Maisa. This is. Oh, where's the volume? Okay, you didn't hear? Fine, you'll hear later. This afternoon, Master Berkovici. How do you? Berkovici, that's it. A long-standing member of MDY, dedicated Sefer Torah in honor of his late father-in-law, Moshe Klein Alav Shalom. Present at the Achros Sefer Torah were fellow MDYers, Inspector Richie Taylor and Lieutenant Yitzi Javelin of the NYPD, as well as Yochanan Itzkowitz. You worked for them, Avi? No. He was your boss? No? As well as Yochanan Itzkowitz, Shamshi Shlafrak. While dancing with the Sefer Torah, to new home, Rabbi Bergenshul and Flatbush, Lieutenant Javelin signed up Shamshi's brother, Avremi. Now that's a chutzpah. Because Shamshi's a big, he goes out here in the Merkaz, puts up a table, he lets somebody else get his own brother. Unbelievable. Yeah. In other Mataratzim Avis Asurim, he's saying. I hear. Won't swell. This is from 19. It says over here, I forgot that. In the 70s. Won't swell your stomach even if you're guilty. Diet Sotah. It's in the Jewish press. This is from Meir Yechiel. I'm going to try to keep my yelling as short as possible. Thanks for the amazing Divri Soyers and Satra Hasidim learning from Tziyonim, etc. The amazing mile of MDY, Achtos. Everybody's a big family. It's a real family. We're besimcha when we hear the news, and we're unbelievably not besimcha when something terrible happens to a fellow shirmate. Rav Eli, you've broken many world records. Biggest daily Daf Yomi shir participants, biggest live shir ever. The only Maggid shir that goes on a world tour and sells out seats, and the only Maggid shir that will give shir in a live lion's cage. But I think the biggest record is the most unique diversity group of people coming together from all different types of backgrounds, uniting as a family. I don't think there was ever such a concept in Klal Yisrael. Please tell MDY marketing team to promote a new slogan. It's not just about the Yoyime, but also about the Achdus. Please tell Rabbi Menachem Toporowitz that his next inspiring book should be about MDY. There's enough wacky stories about Rav Eli's life, and of course, inspiring stories of Achdus, unity, and fellow Shir members, Hatzalah members, stories of Pratis of really missing every single flight and making it to the live Shir without any of his suitcases, enough to fill an entire book. PPS, since my last email, which I also wrote a comment about Menachem Toporowitz about a shuckling when I listened to the Shir on speed 2, on 2 speed. Okay, now he's puzzled. Forget it, Nachman. You can't listen to this one. I only listen to the Shir on regular speed. He only listens to the Shir on regular speed now because of you. Thanks, Nachman. M. Spear from Lakewood, Irat Torah. Hope to see you there soon. Bekarov. Rabbi Sai. So, of course, I'm very, very super excited that we're doing the live Shir in New York. I'm super excited. I am. I'm honest. There's going to be a moment like no other. And I once called these people out. I'm going to call them out again. All those people that are shy, and they just don't like to go to these events, and it's not for them. Please come out, show support. It's going to be a moment like you've never seen in your life. It's going to be such achdus and camaraderie and singing and chuckling. It's going to be givaldic. The koilel, sponsored by Anonymous. The Masechta, sponsored by Eli Stefansky, nishmas Menachem Toporowitz, Menachem Mendel, Shalom ben Yebal Chaim Yeshua Doiv. Sponsor of the month, nishmas Zechariah bas Yosef. Sponsor of the month, nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe, the last day. Shkoyach. Parnas HaChodesh, nishmas Eliyahu ben Yosef Menachem Mendel. Parnas HaYoim. Moses, Lachman, Leilui, nishmas R Meir Yechiel, ben Rav Avraham on his yahrzeit. Parnas HaYoim, Pesach Kahana. Nishmas Rus bas Yitzchak, nishmas Levi Yitzchak ben Efraim. Parnas HaYoim, Mordechai Kranczer in memory of our dear brother Yehuda Yosef ben Usher Anshel on his second yahrzeit. Fourth, Parnas HaYoim, Ari Stawis, something like that. Refuah Shlema for Leah bas Gittel, as well as a Slach for Panos and Mazel for all, and Refuah Shlema. Shalamis Esther bas Bela. And the parnas of the art is for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah. Rabbi say again, we have an amazing daf here, very very long, a lot of agadita, and then we have a sugya that we already did word for word, so it should be very easy. So we're holding here the last line on Mem Zayin Amud Beis, which was mamish a neis nigla yesterday. We were able to cover that entire daf. Yoichin and Kohen Gadol Heber Hudaya Samaiser. No, I'm not there. Memvav. Vatitzena Shtayim Dubim Minayar. We're talking about Elisha, and the children insulted him, and out came the bears from the forest. Vatikvakno Mehem Arbom Shnei Yeladim, and they killed 42 children. Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. Ravu Shmuel Chadom Anes. Chadom Anes b'tuch Nes. It was a double Nes. Mandom Anes. Yar Hava Dubim Lehavu. There was a forest, but there were no bears in the forest. Mandom Anes b'tuch Nes. Lo Yar Hava Lo Dubim Havu. That's a famous expression in Hebrew. Lo Dubim v'lo Yar comes from here. That was a double Nes. Ask the Gemara v'lehevet Dubim v'lo lehevet Yar. Why do you need a forest? Just have the bears come and eat the children. Either the pshat is because the bears naturally they need a place to run back to after they kill, or the children would have been fearful of the bears, so they wouldn't be out there. Like this, the bears were able to sneak up on them. There's a place in Canada, I heard this once, Churchill something, Canada, that there's so many polar bears there that the minhag HaMakom is to leave your car doors open, so people could, I actually brought a picture here from Churchill. Let's see if we have it. Oh. Here, this is a picture from Churchill because the polar bears come. These are like one of the most dangerous animals in the world, maybe the most dangerous animal. So if you see one, you just run into a car. You know that the car is going to be open. People's homes are open. That's the minhag HaMakom over there. What?
The hippo is the most dangerous animal.
Yeah, but this is the strongest. This guy could could kill a lion with one paw. Anyway, no, the mosquito is the most dangerous, but it's nothing. Fine. Zok the Gemara. Yeah, that's true. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Chanina, B'shvil Arba Mushnaim Karbana Shikir Balak Melech Moav. Tremendous Gemara. You can learn a lot from this. From the fact that Balak brought 42 Karbanos, Hufku Mi Yisrael Arba Mushnaim Hiladim. That's why 42 children died that day. As the Gemara, Eni V'Omer Rav Yehuda Omer Rav, Lo'elam Yasek Adam HaTorah B'mitzvah Yisvav B'Shalei Lishma. A person should learn Torah even if he doesn't have the right intent. In the beginning, he's doing it for gaiva, for whatever reason he's doing it. Why? You do it for not such good reasons. Eventually, you learn to love Torah, you live for the right reason. Not that the Karbanos caused death in Klal Yisrael. A good thing came out of him. He had Rus. David and Shlomo came out of Rus. So you see that good came out of it. She was the descendant of Eglon, says Taisvus, the son of Balak. And that he was Zocher for that. Says Gemara, so don't say, the Gemara understands that he did it Shema, but he was trying to do a mitzvah. Let's try it. No. At the end of the day, what he wanted is to curse Klal Yisrael. So that curse enabled Elisha at the end of the day that Elisha's curse should be Mekoyim. That's what happened. Not that his curse went through, but that it gave room for Elisha's curse and stare gaze. At the end of the day, you see in Mordechai Kranczer, I think Rav Yankel Galinsky says it, it's Pasha. You see that even somebody like Balak, who intended all the bad for Klal Yisrael, the bad guy was a Russia. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu found one good in him. One good, and that good brought out Rus. Salach's Kama, a Jew who intends well, maybe not doesn't have that much. And if you search, but at the end of the day, you'll find at least one or two good things about a person that could bring even something like Rus. And here's the end of the pasuk. We need to see the end of the pasuk. But we can't drink the water. You drink the water, you die. Va'arz mishakales. So we live in a great, great place. Just the only problem is we have nothing to drink, and when we drink the water, we die. So the Gemara. So what's so good about the place? There's a concept. There's a concept that when you live in a place, no matter how bad the place is, you love the place. I want to point one thing out that we see it many times in Shas. I don't know what the pshat is, but over here, his name is Chanan, and he says Chein Mokim Al Yoshvav. Something like it goes together. Sometimes he was named after that a certain member that he said in Shas. Sometimes. Yeah. I don't want to, even though I'm going there and I'm super excited to go there. But if you think about it, just for a second, I thought about it because I used to live in New York. I lived in New York for many years. I was actually born in New Jersey and I went to school for most of my life. I was in New York, lived in New York after I got married. But when I moved to Eretz Yisrael and came back to New York, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. There's 50 states in America. You could live in California, in Florida, you could live in Montana, you could have mountains, you could have oceans, palm trees, good weather 10, 11 months out of the year. Because our grandparents landed in Ellis Island, so 90% of the Yidden in America or more live in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. It must be probably the ugliest city in the entire America. The graffiti, the dirt, the double parking, the triple parking, the types of people called Tzarua v'Cholzov. You like it? Oh, Chein Yoshvel. Here, Chein Yoshvel. That's the pshat.
I lived on a very nice block. You lived in Kensington.
I lived in Borough Park also for one day. And it wasn't good.
We lived in Flatbush. It was very nice.
I also lived in Flatbush. I lived there.
Kensington is taco.
I lived in Flatbush for 3 years after I got married. Yishkoyach, thank you very much.
Meicha uncovered Brooklyn.
Yeah, me too. I'm also Meicha. But Lamaisa people have nice yards and backyards over there. They have one by one with the cabins. Unbelievable. Okay. So what's the pshat? What's the pshat? Pick yourself up. Go to Muncie. Get an acre land there. Chein Yoshua. You can take a place like Brooklyn. Ask anybody that lives in Brooklyn. There is no better place than Brooklyn. They'll never move for their life. Pay $4 million for a sardine house that's 10 feet wide. Oh, what? Chein Yoshua. I live there. I love it. Yishkoyach. But when you come back, when you live somewhere else and you come back, you go, I can't believe I ever lived there. It's like, wow.
Chicago,
it's another tzara. We're not going to talk there.
Chicago, killings of the world.
Listen. When I talk about New York, and nobody's going to come get me. But when I talk about Chicago, when I come into shul there, they're like, what are you doing? Chicago is one of the nicest places. There's no palm trees. There's no rivers. This is one of the nicest cities in America. There's 3 types of chinois. Listen to this. There was a person that worked in a nursing home, right? Just to l'saber sa'oizen. They asked, they told the guy, what if you have a patient that is really obnoxious and soils himself? You have to change his diapers and everything, and then pick him and take him and bring him, and the whole day screaming, crying. So the nurse said, I have somebody like that in my house. He says, who? He says, my child. That we have children, and without a special chein that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts in the child, one of my children, we just looked at pictures, and my wife looked at me and she goes, remember we thought this kid was the best looking kid in the world? What were we thinking? My wife said it, not me. So, no. When you have a baby, they're kind of ugly. They have a funny color. Their face is all messed up. And like, wow, it's gorgeous in the world. It's a special chayna because Baruch Hu gives us to love our children, to love what we have. Chen Makom HaYoshvav, Brooklyn, New York. Chen Isha Baila, says Rashi, even if she's very, very unattractive, a husband loves his wife. Chen Mekach HaMekchai, and you love what you buy a car, even if it's the worst car in the world, you love it. Tana Rabbanim. Shloisha Chalayim Chal Elisha, story. Elisha became sick 3 times in his life. In other words, 3 punishments. Echad, until Elisha, nobody ever was healed from a disease. Somebody got a disease, got a machla, that was it. Done. It was a einish. Elisha was the first one that was healed. Echad Shegira Dubim Batinoikos, you see that the Torah had a tain on him, even though those children, they were mvayishim and everything, but you shouldn't have killed him like that. The Gemara is going to explain, he pushed Gechazi away with 2 hands. And finally, the third one he died from. Asher Yamos. If you look at the pasuk here, I mean, you can see it in the Gemara. It says Chala is 1, says Rashi. Eschalya is 2. Asher Yamos boy is 3. Okay, so we see he's 3. Tana Rabbanan. So the Gemara is going to go into it a little bit. A person should push with his left, but be mekarev with his right when it comes to chinuch and other things, as the Gemara is going to say. And I once heard the pshat, I don't remember who said it, but somebody once said that if you're a righty, so you hardly ever use your left hand. But if you use your left hand, it usually comes with some support from the right. So it means even when you're going to push somebody away, at the same time, not later, at the same time as you're pushing him, you're holding on to him. Like Elisha, not like Elisha, he just distanced himself from the Gechazi and he told him to leave. But like Yeshua ben Prachya, and not like Yeshua ben Prachya, I forgot to say, we're not going to go into it and we're not going to say any ha'aris because we are live on YouTube, etc. So we're just going to go right through the sugya as if it never happened. The famous story with Yeshu, and many Gemaras didn't even have this story. For many years, it couldn't be in the Gemara. B'shtei yadav. Pushed him away. Elisha Mayi, what happened? So the story is like this. Naaman was the Sar Tzva, he's a general in Aram. And he was a Metzora. They, as we saw at the end of yesterday's daf over here, that they went and they captured a girl, a Jewish girl. It was normal then. You just go, kidnap somebody. They made her a shivcha. She looks at Naaman, she says, yes, Saras, what's going on? If you went to the Jews, go to the king, go to the Navi, he could cure you. So the king of Aram sent a message to Klal Yisrael that he wants to send his big general to get cured. The king of Klal Yisrael was so scared, he thought they're starting up. So he started ripping his clothes. Elisha said, what's the problem? Send him to me. Anyway, long story short, he comes to Elisha, and Elisha didn't even come to the front door. He sent his guy, says, tell him, just go dip in the mikveh, in the Yarden 7 times. He was very insulted. What do you mean? I come all the way and the Navi doesn't come out. I'm not going to do it. His people said, just try it. What do you have to lose? So he tried it. And as soon as he went in, he came out, not a Mitzvah anymore. He was Mavish the Spal, Kiddush Hashem. He went to Elisha and said, I want to give you money. He says, no, I'm not taking any money. Elisha didn't want to take money because he wanted to show, I'm not a Baba. Yeah. Well, let's just stick this in here for a second. I don't know if I said it and it doesn't really work in English so well, but we'll try it anyway. A guy went to the Baba and said, I want to have a child. The Baba said, it's $50,000. He says, $50,000? You sure that's a crazy amount of money? So the Baba told him, just the material alone cost me more than $50,000. Now, if you ever did construction in Eretz Yisrael, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Every single time. Why is it 20,000 shekel? HaChomer will 20,000 shekel. Okay, the Baba is losing on. Okay, fine. So I want to give you money. He says, no money. And he left without paying him. Gechazi did a terrible, terrible thing. He was the Talmud of Elisha. He said, Mamish, it's lost opportunity. The guy wanted to give all this money. Let's go get it. So he ran after him. He said, Elisha had charat. Elisha said, you should pay him. So he said, well, what do you mean? He said, no. So swear. So he said, no problem. He swore in the name of Hashem that Elisha said, I want money. So Naaman said, you know what? Not only am I going to pay you one, I'm going to pay you double that I wanted to pay, and here's some suits. He gave him money and suits. The problem is a tremendous chilul Hashem. He swore falsely, and Elisha didn't accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. Elisha wanted to accomplish that it came from Dvar Hashem, We're not doing this for money. We're not babas. We're doing it for the Hashem. Terrible thing. So Gehazi was so upset at him that he pushed him off. Elisha, I'm sorry. Okay, says the Gemara. Now that we know the story, it says, Vayomer Naaman, Hoyel, Kach, Kikarim. So Naaman tells Gehazi, here, take two things of silver. So now Elisha tells Gehazi, Loi libi olach yashavach ish mi'al merkavta lekorsecha. Ha'is lokachas ha'kesef, es ha'kesef. You took the money, lokachas ha'bgadim, v'zeisim. Now he throws in olives, ukramim. That's not really part of the story. He added tzoyin, ubakar, v'havadim u'shvachos. As the Gemara Mishachah Kulei Hai, why did he add all this? All he took is money and suits, not avadim. Because we got the shaka. Amr Beis Shah. He was Isaac in the Shmona Shratzim. Says Rashi, incredible. He's learning Masechta Shabbos, Daf Kuf Zayin, says Rashi. He's learning the Perek Shmona Shratzim in Masechta Shabbos. Okay, whatever it is, he's learning it. There's no Masechta Shabbos then, but there was Masechta Shabbos. Amaloi Rasha, you could have been learning Torah with me, and instead you traded the Torah for some money. Reminds you of the story of the Vilna Gaon. He asked his brother-in-law, what are you doing here in Vilna? He says, somebody stole a lot of money from me, I came to get it. He says, are you kidding me? What, there's people in our generation that waste their time and come and look for their money? Go sit down and learn, what are you doing here? Anyway, it's not mostly for this generation. I go by such a thing. You could have been doing Shmona Shratzim, and instead you went to get 2 kikros kesef. It's ras nam tidbak b'cha. The curse is that the tzaras that left Naaman should be in you, and in your children forever. Says the Gemara. So there's a story again. We're not going to get into yeshiva guys over here. We don't know Navi, but they were. You do. You're not a.
Not a yeshiva guy.
No, yeah, whatever. He was a yeshiva guy, but he knows Navi. Yosef. So these it was Gehazi and his 3 kids. They were outside of the Machna. The Aaron was there. They were going to fight Klal Yisrael, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made an ace that they ran away. But before that, there was a whole long arichos that there was somebody. The Elisha said, "You're going to see. There's no food tomorrow. The food is going to be so cheap, whatever." So somebody said, "What are you talking about? It's impossible in one day." Kachava, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made an ace. They ran away. They heard sounds, so they all ran away. But Klal Yisrael didn't know that they ran away. But because they had 4 mitzurayim outside of the Machna, and they were very hungry, so they said, let's go to the enemy. Maybe they'll take us in and give us food. They came to the enemy. They see gold, silver everywhere, horses, everything is there, and no human beings. So they started filling up their pockets, and they realized, let's go back and tell Klal Yisrael about the Nes and Kachab. So there's so much food, so much shefa, that the prices went down, and the person that doubted the Navi, he got killed. He went to Damascus, to Syria. Why did Elisha have to go? He wanted to bring Gehazi back to tshuva. Do tshuva. You taught me. If you sin, you cause others to sin. He's wrong. Everybody can do tshuva. It's just very difficult. What was the big avera that the Gehazi did? I don't know if this is the pshat. I just found this online and I'll show it to you. You could take giant magnets, like the trains in Japan. Take a big giant magnet, and it goes between heaven and earth. Like the magnet doesn't. It causes that it's anti-gravity, right? The top, that plant on top doesn't hit the bottom because there's a magnet in the plant. There's a magnet on the bottom, and the magnet something like that. He did a trick, a floating magnet, right? So he did a trick where he took some magnet, I don't know exactly how he positioned it, and he put it in the animal, and he put the magnet on the ground or above, and he created a situation where the animal floated in midair, magic. So people believed in it. Or he did something different. He took the Shem Hashem, took the animal, put the Shem Hashem in the animal's mouth, he engraved it in the mouth, and the animal started talking. The animal's trying to say Hashem is the Shem, but people thought he meant I am, the animal himself. Some say that Gehazi didn't allow Talmid Chachamim to come learn Torah. It's too small. What happened? Because Gehazi left, all of a sudden, real quick, that's it. Mendel, that's it after this. There's a guy that tried to come into yeshiva, and the yeshiva didn't want him. So the yeshiva says, no, we don't have room in the base medrash. He says, no, I'll bring my own stand, I'll bring my own chair. He says, yeah, but we don't have room in the dormitory. He says, not a problem. Dormitory, I'll sleep by my sister. But we don't have room in the lunchroom. I'll eat out. He says, but it's Yuma in Yiddish. He says, I understand Yiddish. He says, how can you understand Yiddish? You don't even understand English. Okay. So they didn't allow Bachrim in the yeshiva, and that's why it said that very beautiful joke. Zog the Gemara, you'll get it. It'll take like 10 seconds. All those who went like this when I said the joke. I'm not sure what you were doing, but I have a chashash.
Maybe you'll.
You look a little bit self-conscious there, so that's why I'm a little choshed.
What language you were speaking?
The language that I was saying the joke in. It says Gemara, these are classic Gemaras over here. Yeshua ben Prachio Maihi. Oh no, I didn't say. Oh. I might have not said those words. Until that point, it wasn't packed, and after Gehazi left, it was Tzara Mokan. Yeshua ben Prachio Maihi. What happened to Yeshua ben Prachio? Kedahavakam kotel Yanei Malko l'Rabbanon. Yanei went on a spree, killing all the Talmidei Chachamim. Shimon ben Shetach. His own sister was married to Yanei, so she was able to save one person, Shimon ben Shetach. Refuah ben Prachio Azal Orak Alexandria Shel Mitzrayim ran away to Egypt. Refuah Shlema, when it was already everything calmed down in there, Shalach le Shimon ben Shetach, so Shimon ben Shetach sent to Refuah ben Prachio. Mid Yerushalayim ran Kodesh Loch Alexandria Shel Mitzrayim. Achoisi Bali Shori b'Soichech Vani Yeshev Shemeimo. I'm sitting here desolate. Omar Shmamino Havali Shlema. He realized it was a sign, it was a letter to tell him to come back. He also Iklu Lahu Shpizo. When they came back to Eretz Yisrael, so he went to a certain inn. Kam Kamayu bi Kar Shaper. So the woman, the innkeeper, she treated him with tremendous, tremendous respect. Avdei Kar Tuva. Yosef kam Shtabach. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachio, he said to his Talmidim, look how unbelievable she is. How beautiful this Achlasas Harchim is. But he said it Achsan Yezu, this innkeeper. So Yeshua said, Rebbe, what do you mean she's beautiful? She has round eyes. So I just brought the picture of Lachluchis, because that's from that Gemara over there. She had round eyes. It's not so nice. Omerlei, Rasha, Bekachat Oisek. What, you're looking at Eishes Ish? Apik Arba Mosh, Shipuri Vishamte, he took out 400 shofars. Again, it's a Lashon Guzma, Arba Moya, and he put him in Cher. L'chayra, because he looked at Eishes Ish, it's a bad thing, but that's why it was, but it could be, and I think I might have heard this pshat, I don't know, it's engraved, that he had the chutzpah to think that his Rebbe was thinking that. You want to look at Eishes Ish and keep it in your head, fine. But to think that Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachio was dealing with Eishes Ish and saying that she's beautiful, that's a different madrega. Yeah. Says Gemara, Kol Yoima, also l'kamei v'le'kable. He wanted to come back to yeshiva. No, he didn't accept it. Yoima chad avakari kriya shma. And one day Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachio was reading kriya shma, also l'kamei. He came in front of him, have a bedait l'kabule. He said, you know what, he did, it looks like he did tshuva, let me accept him back. He told him, I don't know what he did exactly with his hand, something like this. If he went like this, it would be understood. So he went like this, he misinterpreted the sign language and he thought he meant, don't come back. Ozal, he took a stone and bowed down to the stone. He went off the derech on the spot with Avodah Zarah. So later on, he met up with him. He says, "Chazar b'cha, do tshuva." I learned from you. It's impossible. Domamar, Kishef, Yeshu, he used Kishuf, Vehesis, Vidiach. He brought other Yidden down. Ve'echtis Yisrael. Tayyim Shimon lo zoymer. Yetzer tinoik v'isha. Tei small doicha v'yomin mikareves. You cannot take away the taivas of erva or taivas, because then people wouldn't have, they wouldn't be Mekayim Peruvu. But you have to be careful from it. So you distance it, but you pull it back. When it comes to children, you can't just be yelling and screaming and nasty to them. You have to be Mekarev and be Merachik at the same time. The same thing with a woman who's very sensitive. If you ever give mus or whatever, it has to be in a way that it's also Yemimik Karev. Says the Mishnah. Sponsored by Moshe Cohen. For Atzlach and learning and Parnasa, Refuah and Mazel. Huh? I said learning, no? Learning is not limited Torah and learning. Ninta hoyreg achaloi never egla. The whole point of the egla rufa. The whole point of the egla rufa is to. We have a suffix. We don't know who killed, so we do egla rufa. We found the killer. What do? You already brought the egla down to Nachal Eisan. Teitze v'tira be'eder. So you let it go and graze. You don't kill it. But it has Kedusha, let it go. Mishanerfa, sorry, it doesn't have Kedusha, right? No Kedusha. Teitze v'tira be'eder, you let it go. Chulin. Mishanerfa egla. But let's say you went through the whole process and you cut the head off, and then you found out that there's a killer, we know who he is, to cover him in Mekayma. Because every egla rufa is asar b'hana, so you bury it. It came on the suffix, it accomplished what it wanted to do. Now that it has Kedusha, you cannot remove the Kedusha from it, even though you found out who the killer is. Kippur's fake of al-chala. Nerfa egla v'achkach nimtza ha'ireg. Harezi ha'ireg. Now, this same case, you did the egla rufa, but then you found the murder. It doesn't absolve the murder from the death penalty, and it doesn't absolve the city anymore. The city, it doesn't have a chet because they didn't know who it was. So you did egla rufa. Now you know what it is. You better take care of the murder. You can't have a murderer living within you. So Rabbi said, this is a sugya that we had word for word when it came to a Sotah. The same exact halacha applies by Sotah as it applies to egla rufa. There's one other place in Shas that's similar, and that is if an aguna is believed, Eidecha is believed to say that she's not that I saw the husband die. So we have Sotah and we have this egla rufa. One says, I saw the murder. If I saw the murder, that means what? There's no egla rufa. I know who he is. Now we don't go and ask him who is he and what is he. We believe him. You know who it is? Shalom Yisrael. Now the parish of egla rufa doesn't apply. You were with me. What are you talking about? So again, we're talking about a situation where even apostle is believed. The Eidecha is believed. The apostle, even Isha. How you orphan? Now you have a suffix hashakol. So you do egla rufa. How you orphan? Now we have to understand why this case is like that. One says, I know the guy, but two say you didn't see. So it's as if he didn't see. We believe the two against the one. If we don't have any Eidim here, then you do egla rufa. If the two say we saw, and therefore there shouldn't be egla rufa, and one argues, you don't do it. Once there's a lot of ritzicha, but there's no more egla rufa. Mishaba Elias ben Dinoi, Utkina ben Prisha, Hayinikra, Chazur Likroisi ben Aratzchan. There's so many Reitzchim, and they even knew the names, and here he is. Here's the Reitzach. There's nothing you can do about it. Egla rufa is when you don't know who it is. Over here we could assume it's either him, the mafia, I don't know, but there's certain people that they're borrowed that they're Reitzchim. Mishrabah Menachem. People are even arayis, pasku amayim amarim, so that you no longer give the Sotah to drink because it doesn't help anymore. It says over here, kiheim im hazoynos yifaredu v'im hagdeshus zabechu. Says Rashi that they do mezana like mules. I'm not exactly sure what that means. It could be mules, since they're not part of a rava, they don't have a continuation. So every time they have relations, it's znus. It's for no reason. So it's like, okay, like a part. Or maybe what? That's the pshat. No, like, but it says that they were noyef like a part. Okay, I hear. Came from znus, another pshat. Mishemeis, Yosef ben Yezer is straight of Yosef ben Yehuda Ish Yerushalayim. You see in Avos, the brought down is like one of the continuation Torah, huh? Zugus. Batlu Eshkolos. So let's see Rashi real quickly. Mifarsh b'Gemara shakol behem. Eshkolos means they have everything. It's a very important Rashi. There's not a single machlokes in the Gemara in anything. Everybody knew the halacha. Like Moshe Rabbeinu gave from Sinai. The first ever machlokes was by them, and that's where all the machlokes started from that kufan. It's a lashon of Eshkol is a lashon of chashivas. So Meiser, once again, if you have crap, you have to give truma, you have to give Meiser, trumas Meiser, and it says in the Psukim, and then it says, you do all the Meisers, and then you have to say a vidui. When? Year 1, 2, 3 are the years of Meiser. It's a two cycles of 3 years. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. So you would say this Meiser in year 4 and year 7. After the 3-year cycle, you say these psukim. I did everything you told me to do. Ad Yom Patish, and we're going to see what that means. Ad Yom Patish Makib Yerushalayim. Until his days on Chalamoid, they allowed loud sounds for Dover Ovid for a loss. But then he stopped that. If you buy fruit from an Amoret, you could ask him, did you take Meiser and you trust him? Afterwards, no more. He made a takana, you have to take Meiser. Sponsored by Greg Haber for Brachat Tzal Parnasa, Brios, entire family, Rav Eli, everyone learning the Daf. Torah Bara. Today's shir is going to 8:30. How do you know that he still gets the death penalty even though they did an egla arufa? The only way to have a kapar is to kill the murderer. This is in Daf Amud Beis. We went through the sugya word for word. So if one aid says I saw, and the other one says you didn't see, you do egla arufa. Time of the makrish late. It's because it's 1 against 1. It's as if nobody's there and we still have a suffix. But if nobody argues, you do believe 1. Nowhere else in the Torah is 1 aid good enough. The Torah Rabbanon leina miko ha noida miko afilu echa b'soifa olam lo yihoy arvim. If one person knows, and we don't even know what he knows, he just says, "I know who he is." He's not even telling us. It's brought down in halacha that if you are eid echad, you saw murder, you shouldn't tell the bezin about it. I find it fascinating because lashon hara. Since they can't do anything about it, I mean. Maybe we could. And nowadays you could. You go to police. Okay, fine. But in terms, I know. That's what I was thinking. If Sanhedrin saw, you don't do arif. Says Gemara, Hash the Amris Eidechol Mehemen Iduch Chad Heichi Mati Makrishlei. So this is the sugi we had. So here's just to remind the Olam what it looked back then. Here's the Sotah, mamish the same sugi in Sotah. Okay. So ask the Gemara like this. But what I did is, I don't know if you noticed, you see on the top corners, on the right and the left, there's nothing there. Today, I came up with a chap. I'm very proud of this because it makes it a little easier. On the right corner on the top and the left corner on the top, it shows what they're trying to accomplish. When a guy says re'isi, he's trying to say, no egla rufa. I know the murderer. There's no egla rufa. The guy on the right, he's saying, loy ra'isa. So he's trying to say there is an egla rufa because if I take you guys away, I'm sorry, that I have a mistake. Yeah, it's the same thing. But so ask the Gemara when the guy says re'isi, why is he not believed? As soon as he says re'isi, he turns into two edim. It means like 2 different people, but he's like 2. If he's like 2, then it's 1 against 2 because the guy on the right doesn't have power as 2 edim. It's a special halacha that you're allowed to say I saw. The same thing we said by Sotah. The special halacha is believed to say you were nistar. The other guy doesn't have a special halacha he could say you didn't see. So now it's 1 against 2. What happens with 1 against 2? He should be believed. Ne'eman. And therefore what? You shouldn't do egla rufa. Right? You could see in the top left corner, he's trying to say no egla rufa. And therefore, if he's believed, no egla rufa. This is what it says. This is the picture. We have to change the gears. It's mamish like in Sotah also. Same thing. Amud Beis word for word. You're right. It's a problem. We do believe the guy on the left, not the guy on the right. But Reb Chia is a problem. He says, we believe the guy on the right. The problem is, why don't we believe the guy on the left? He's valued like two edim. He's like two edim. Our mission is talking about that they came together, and when they come together, one cancels out the other one. So it's as if there's no edim at all. He never had a shot to give his edus, because as soon as he gave his edus, the other guy contradicted it. Here, what's the halacha? You do egla rufa. Why? Because there's no edim. If there's no edim, now we have a suffix. How did this guy die? I don't know how he died. Let's bring egla rufa. But check this out. If it's b'zeach hazeh, first this guy comes and says, Ra'isi, and therefore what? No egla rufa. And all of a sudden, this guy shows up and he says, Ra'isa. Lorisa, sorry. It's too late. Because the guy on the left already gave his edus and he's like two edim. Now somebody shows up and says, Lorisa, we don't believe him. It's 1 against 2. And what's going to be the halacha? We believe the guy on the left. The guy on the left says, don't do egla rufa. Tanan, but it says, Eidechad oimerisi esahoyregu loyrisa. If it's 1 against 2, hayu arfin. So here's the case. 2. Here, no, you're in there. 2 against 1. The halacha is we believe them that you didn't see, and therefore you do egla rufa. But you could be mendayik hachad v'chad lo yarfin. It's only because we believe the 2. But if it's 1 against 1, you wouldn't believe that guy, and you wouldn't do arifa. Do you have the Reb Chia? He says you do arifa. Says the Gemara. What about this case? 2 against 1, but the opposite case. The 2 say, Roinu. What's the halacha? You don't do arifa. You believe them, so you can make the same deal. But if it's 1 against 1, you do. Ella, you have to say, okay, since you can't be medayik one way or the other, we're talking about women. Women came and testify. Now, if you have 2 against 1, you don't go by the 2 or the 1. You go by the Roiv Deis. So you have 25 against 24, you believe the 25. It's an unbelievable thing. You don't go 2, 1, 1, 2, 5 against 4, you go by the 5. So they said 2 women against 1 man is like 2 men against 1 man. And look what happens. In this case, 2 against 1 man, you believe her. Do you believe the women? It's like 2 men against 1 man. These 2 women have halach of 2 men. And then you say, Loi Roisa, and Memela, there's Egla Rufa. If 1 aid came by himself, then we're going to trust him even against 100 women. Here's 2 against 1. Let's just do this case. 2 against 1. In this case, where they say Ra'inu, we trust them again because it's 2 against 1. It doesn't matter if it's 2 against 1 in this case or 2 against 1 in this case. Whatever the 2 say, we always trust the 2 against the 1. Now, if the woman came first, what did she say? She came first and she says, Ra'isi, I know who the murderer is, and therefore what? This shouldn't be Egla Rufa. And then afterwards, so when the 2 women come and they say she's wrong, so what's the halacha? We go with the 2 women, 2 against 1. Because 2 against 1, 2 wins. If it's 2 women against 1 woman, is like the same halacha, like 2 men against 1 man. Check this out. But if you have 1 man against 2 women and they came together, so the halacha is that it's like 50-50, and we just cancel them out. The halacha is that you do egla rufa. But if it's one after another, in other words, the 1 man came and said, I saw the murderer. If I saw the murderer, this shouldn't be egla rufa. Then 2 women come later, 10 minutes later, and say, you didn't see, you're lying. Now we believe him. Okay. So the bottom line is that in our Mishnah we have two cases. And both we go by the roiv. That what? If one woman says, I saw, and two women say, you didn't see, so we go by the two women. Even if it's zeh, the mevatel loredas. Two say, we did see, right? Those two cases that we just saw. Two say, we did see, and one said, we didn't see. We don't do arifa. Ask the Gemara, if so, what I need two cases. It's the same idea. We always go by the roiv. When you have women testifying, you go by how many women there are. 25 against 24. To say that you don't do egla rufa, which is a kula, you don't do it. Maybe you don't go by the roiv deyers. And even when it's a big kula. Okay, so we did that sugi. Now we're going back to Agadata. When there's a lot of ritzicha, you don't do egla rufa. Why? Because it only comes to take away a suffix. I don't know who the ritzech is, but I know it's one of these bad guys over here. These guys have a history for ritzicha, so memel is no egla rufa. Big yahrzeit in Sotah, that when the husband is guilty also, he's a bad guy, he's naif, so then the waters don't check his wife. He says, Neno. My va'omer. What does it mean va'omer? That pasuk that we showed before, that they're like mules. Let's say he's a bad guy, so the waters don't work on his wife. But what if his daughter is a bad woman, and his daughter-in-law? You see what it says in the pasuk? It says in the pasuk, Akali Seichem. Your daughter-in-law. If your daughter-in-law is bad, she's mizana, then the waters don't work for your wife. That's what the pasuk says here. And Memela, forget the Mei Sotah doesn't work anymore. The pasuk is only talking about a real severe avera of Eshesish. But Ponei Abala Pnuya, which is not as severe, maybe that's not such an avera that causes the water not to work. Tashma, Kiheim, Ima Zoinois. Zoinois is nus, is mashma Pnuya. Doesn't say Eshesish. Zoinois. Yiparedu. V'im Hagdeshes Yizabechu. My V'am Loyovin Yiloveit. That whoever doesn't understand is going to fall. Or Lazar, because this is counterintuitive. You would think you have so much znus going around, the water should work. Let's use a lot of water. Bring all these women to the Beis HaMikdash. They'll all explode. We'll get rid of the znus. No. That's because you don't understand. When you don't understand, you think it should be a certain way, then it causes you to fall. If you yourselves are careful in znus, then it will work. When people started indulging in taivas, then everything went bad. The din, people stopped doing good din. And therefore, it's not good in the world because Baruch is not appreciative of what's going on. When the Dayanim used favoritism, the pasuk that says that a Dayan should be fearful of the Baldin went out the window. Or pasuk like Sakiru, you shouldn't show favoritism. You're showing favoritism. There's no more Yir Shamayim, Ol Shamayim, V'nosnu Aleim, Ol Basar V'dam. You know what? If you're going to take away the Ol Shamayim, it's not going to help you because at the end of the day, a Basar V'dam will come and take over your life. When you have lawyers, Rashi says, Mamish lawyers, that come before the din and they tell the Dayan, listen, I have inside information, this and that, and they whisper to him something. Rava, Charanav, Hashem gets upset, Yisrael, V'nstalka Shechina, and then he goes away. Mishum Shenema, Bekerev Elikim Yishpait. Mishrava Achrei, Bitzam Libam Hoylech, Rabbi Omer L'Rat Toiv L'Toiv Ra. They say on Rishonim that they're good and on Tzadikim that they're bad. Mishra Rabbi Omer L'Rat Toiv L'Toiv Ra. And when that happens, Rabbu Hoy Hoy Ba'olam. They say, oh, people are screaming, oh, what's going to be? Whoa. Mishra Rabbi Moishchei Aroik. Exactly what this is, I'm not sure. Rashi says they used to spit when I was a kid in Farakaway. So it's a minig of a certain type of person, not a Yiddish person. They used to spit a lot. I didn't see it in a long time. But back when I was a kid, remember in the 70s? Wherever you walked, it was like a whole thing. Every 5 minutes you'd see a guy spitting to the distance. It's a sign of gaiva. It's not in style anymore. The Torah is looking for somebody to learn it. And when the Baligaiva, the haughty people, so then the girls were impressed by these Balagaiva. They dressed nice, they acted, so they married them. Shane, the rain royal him, because the generation only sees the surface. The black cat and the long this. Oh, we're gonna marry him. But we learned that his wife is not going to accept him. A Balgaivic person is not v'lo yinva. What is lo yinva? Lo yinva afilu b'navish. Even his house is not going to appreciate him. This is Gemara very simple. In the beginning, she thought he's the great guy. She realized who she married, and then she throws him out. Let's just do another 2 minutes so that we don't have to do. Oh, by the way, tonight let's do 6 o'clock. It's better. It's such a long daf. It's hard to prepare. 6 o'clock, and then wish me well in America, and we'll be back next week for the big siyum on Sotah here.
Which is the first year you're giving back in?
I don't know. Ask Gary. I don't remember. The day I land, there's no share because I'm giving that share now. It's like, well, I'm one ahead. It's the following day, the next morning. Yeah. What? Is the first share? Tuesday morning, the first share, says Gary. By the way, just time you should know, Tomer Levi is already in America preparing for the scene. He landed on Sunday. Yesterday, he's already sent me videos of the place. He's mamish working hard. There's a lot of hundreds of hours that went behind the scenes. Huh? Oh. There are siyum there. Undercover siyum. Each place is going to have a little siyum. Okay, you know what? Since we're off topic, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.